Hey everyone, today we're going to compare two heavyweights in the ultralight sleeping pad category, the Thermarest Neoair Xlite and the NEMO Tensor Insulated. They can be really hard to decide between the two, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a better idea of which one is right for you. If you're new to the channel, my name's Roxy and I'm part of the Adventure Junkies team. We help people like you choose the right gear to get outdoors. If you want to learn more, go ahead and visit the website at www.theadventurejunkies.com. Now for what you really came for, the Thermarest Neoair Xlite versus the NEMO Tensor Insulated. If you're interested in either one of these, or perhaps both, check out the links in the description for a full review of each sleeping pad. So these are pretty similar pads. The NEMO Tensor Insulated is one of NEMO's ultralight sleeping pads, and it's also one of their best selling. It lives in the ultralight family of all of the NEMO pads, and when you purchase it, it comes with the sleeping pad, a stuff sack, and a pump sack, as well as a repair kit. The Thermarest Neoair Xlite is Thermarest's one of their best selling pads, and it is the second lightest pad in their fast and light category. Similar to the Tensor, it comes with the pad itself, a stuff sack, a pump sack, and a patch kit. All right, let's open both of these up, blow them both up, and start the comparison. I'll start with the Xlite. So we have already blown these up before, and both of them fit back in their original case, which is a really nice thing to note. Often when you get a sleeping pad and you blow it up and pack it back down again, it's just like huge. You can't get it back in the stuff sack, you can't like roll it up correctly, but both of these roll back into these tiny little packages. So let's just compare size-wise. I would say this Neoair Xlite is like the tiniest bit wider than the NEMO Tensor. See, and then I also have a 32-ounce water bottle here. And like all three things are pretty much the same size. It looks like the Neoair Xlite is maybe a little shorter than the Tensor, and there's also some degree in how you roll these up, how they're gonna sit in these stuff sacks. I would say they are all pretty comparable in size, these two, with this 32-ounce water bottle. All right, in the NEMO, when you pull it out, it comes with this awesome Velcro strap, which I really like. Sort of keeps everything together. You can roll this pump sack into the bag while you're rolling it to sort of keep everything even closer together. And then you can maybe drop this if you are super shaving ounces. If you're going really ultralight, this is not a totally necessary piece of the system. So here's the pump sack. Comes with directions. The most important part of this pump sack is that you are 6 inches above the opening when you're blowing into it. It creates a whirl effect and blows it up much bigger than if you're just like huffing and puffing right at the top here. So you want 6 inches away. So we'll take a look at this valve. It is a 2-system valve, 2-cap valve. So the first level is the deflate level, and that just goes right through to the inside of the sleeping pad. The second level is the inflate level. I'm going to push that one in, and that lets air in but not out. And then it also has this little toggle where you could fine-tune how much air you want in it. They make it pretty obvious here. Valve here, great. Follow those directions. See, I'm 6 inches away, you get a full bag of air. And then you're gonna roll and push. Roll. And get the last of that air out. Push. Probably could have done that one a little bit more, but I think we'll get it in 3 anyways, so yeah, I would call that 3. I probably should have done the last one a little bit more. We'll just do a little bit more to top it off. It's really inflated. Got it. All right, so I would call that 3 pump sacks full of air to inflate the NEMO Tensor Insulated. And then I'm just putting this top cap on. It is nice that it is in the corner and also flat. If you have your pillow or something, your head's not gonna roll onto that. So this one's a little bit of a tighter fit inside here. Just something to note. I still think they're a very similar size. All right, so this is a totally different valve system. This is a spin system. So you also have these wings here to deflate. So you spin them to deflate. They're currently spun. It shows you the direction on the sleeping pad. They are spun this way, so I'm gonna spin the opposite direction to inflate. And then similar directions on the Thermarest, although it does not tell you to blow from 6 inches away. The same concept applies. So this is a little bit of a harder system to lock in. Not nearly as straightforward as the NEMO. Ugh, yep. Both you can still blow up with your mouth if you are saving weight or frustrated. So I just got this locked in, so here's how the system looks once it's locked in. Just right off the bat, I already prefer the NEMO valve system. It's just easier to plug and go immediately. The pump sack is also easier to use. Because this has a wider mouth, it's easier for the air to circulate and then actually come out back towards you. So that was 2 pumps, 3. So NEMO is already 1 out on the amount of pump sacks. That was a pretty good one. Yeah, all right. I'd say 7 on that. Feels good to me. And then I'm going to pop this off. And twist to close. All right. So just impressions on inflating. The flyer is way easier to inflate. All right, so just right off the bat here, we've got the Tensor Insulated in the back from NEMO and the Xlite in the front from Thermarest. So both of these sleeping pads fall into what I would consider premium price category. The Tensor is $10 less at $189.95, and the Xlite is $199.95. So we've got a $10 difference, both up to around $200. That's pretty expensive for just one part of your camping kit. You have many more things to purchase after this in order to sleep comfortably outside. So you really got to be all in the ultralight category in order to drop $200 on one of these pads. So price difference, negligible, but they are both pretty expensive. All right, so between the two, the Xlite wins in the weight category. This sleeping pad is 12.5 ounces, which is 354 grams. And then the Tensor is 15 ounces. So we've got 2.5 extra ounces on here. That's 425 grams if you're counting grams. So you are adding 2.5 ounces over the Xlite, and as you can see, their shape is just a little different. If you are getting more surface area with the Tensor. The Tensor is this one in the back, And if you can see either side, we've got a mummy shape going on for the Xlite. So it is getting smaller down towards the feet, which is really nice for one, cutting those ounces and grams if that's what you're looking for. Two, if you have a tent that is also ultralight, they usually sort of point in towards the feet, expecting to have a mummy style sleeping pad. So they fit more comfortably in those types of tents. The tensor here is a rectangle. It's a rectangle. So you don't have either side dipping to get you that extra space and save some ounces. So let's chat about R values. The Xlite, put it in front, is gonna win out on this one as well. The Xlite has an R value of 4.2, while the Tensor has an R value of 3.5. R value is basically a standard unit of measurement that tells you how warm something's going to be. So if you have an R, it's measured on like 0 to 6 plus. So there are even some sleeping pads that go above 6. If you are at a 0 for R value, you're sleeping on the ground. And at night, really any time of day, the ground is going to be seeping heat from you. So when you're laying down on the ground with nothing between you and the ground is actively taking heat. What sleeping pads are doing is both reflecting that heat back at you and warming this air in between you and the ground. Your body is warming the air, and that is what creates the warmth. That being said, these sleeping pads need to be blown up to their full capacity in order to reach that R value that is stated. This R value of 4.2 for this sleeping pad is real nice and warm. 4.2 I would consider a solid 3-season sleeping pad. So spring, summer, fall, you should be comfortable on this. Down here at 3.5, that is more of like a late spring through summer to early fall. I am a cold sleeper myself, so that is sort of how I would feel comfortable using these pads. My partner is a hot sleeper, so he could probably make this 3.5 last all 3 seasons and this Xlite last probably into winter. So it really depends on your preference and how you are going to layer on top of the pad. If you really want extra warmth, you could put a secondary pad on, maybe a foam pad underneath. That gives you an extra 1 or 1.5 points of R value. So you can really play around between these two pads. The Xlite is the warmer pad. In terms of quality, these are both really top of the line pads. So they're both going to be pretty durable. They're both pretty thick. They're made with 2 separate materials. The Tensor is 20D polyester, while the Xlite is 30D polyester, and that sort of measures their durability. I am always cautious with inflatable sleeping pads. I would not put them directly on the ground. I would always keep a layer between you and the ground. I would put a footprint on under your tent, just to really make sure you get no puncture wounds, puncture holes. Dealing with a puncture hole in the backcountry is just like a total nightmare. So it's really important to try and keep them from being punctured. With 30D on this Xlite, it's just going to be slightly more durable than this 20D. That being said, this feels like a trash bag. It has that like sweaty quality to it, and this feels much softer, where I wouldn't like totally mind putting my face directly on it, whereas this I feel like it would just like sweat throughout the night. Either way, there are sleeping pads that are way more comfy and feel just like bed sheets. Neither of these is that. Both sort of have that sleeping pad feel. All right, so let's talk about the dimensions before we roll these up. I've got the Xlite in front of the Tensor right here. And if I line them up perfectly, you can see that they are the same size if it weren't for the mummy shape. So same size at the shoulders and head to toe, but gets much skinnier as you go down. So it's 20 inches wide, 51 centimeters, and then 72 inches long, and that is 183 centimeters long. So you can sort of use that to guide you on how well you'll fit. There's multiple sizes for each of these, so you can sort of pick which size will fit perfectly for you. And it is clear to see on these boxes. We've got short mummy, regular, wide, long, wide. So you really can fine tune exactly what you're looking for. I was just reading those off for the Tensor. All right, so while we have these inflated, let's talk a little bit about the valve system. They both have two-way valves. This one is a little hard to adjust, just letting a little bit out. Yeah, it's a turn to let a tad out, whereas on the Flyer, it's a tap. Much easier to fine tune the thickness you'd like of each of the Tensor over the Xlite. If you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit the like button so more people like you can find it. So there is a slight difference in thickness between these two pads. The Tensor is 3 inches thick, which is 8 centimeters, and the Xlite, it's so noisy, is 2.5 inches thick, which is 6.4 centimeters. I'm gonna take a lay on them and see how comfy they are. All right, first the Tensor. Pretty comfortable. I am 5'6", so let's make sure you can see the whole thing. I've got quite a bit of room at the top. You could definitely be comfortable on this all the way, I'd say up to like 5'10". Any more than that, you might want to get a different size. Really good support on hips and shoulders. I'm definitely not bottoming out. This is a really comfy pad for sure. And it's not that noisy. The material feels nice. It is a little slippy. I can move around on the tarp. So if you're camping on a hill, you might have some issues. All right, come here, Xlite. So right off the bat, this is like a trash bag. It's very noisy. If you're a light sleeper, you're probably gonna wake yourself up using the Xlite. So it's like echoing back at me. It's like even noisier than you would expect when it's close to you. So the Tensor had really good stability near the edges. This also does, but it is far skinnier. So, and at 5'6", well, I've got quite a few inches up here. I would say probably up to 5'10" again. But yeah, it's super skinny with the width. Also a lot of support on my hips and shoulders here. No issues with bottoming out. Just so noisy. It is pretty slippy too. So with both of these, you want to make sure you're not camping on an incline, which sometimes you have no choice, and then you're all bunched up near one side of your tent. So let's pack these down and see how easy they are to pack down compared to each other. I'm going to start with the Tensor, because that's what I started with before. So we've got all the things. And I'm just going to pull on the second tab here. And deflates. And just do an initial squeeze. So we get most of the air out. And then do a tri-fold on this one. So I like to judge how easy a sleeping pad is to roll by how annoying it would be to roll it up the next day after sleeping on it for multiple nights in a row. Usually I run into issues with self-inflating pads. I'm actually going to roll this into it just so it's all one nice little piece. So far, I would not have a problem doing this multiple mornings in a row. My other pet peeve with sleeping pads is having to stuff them back into their sack, not having a sack big enough. I don't think that's going to be a problem with either of these. Okay, so let's call that pretty easy. And then this is a great tool to have to throw on there, just to keep it. And then you could theoretically dump one of these. You could dump the Velcro and not have it, or you could dump the stuff sack, but I would probably keep the sack just to protect your sleeping pad while you're traveling with it. Beautiful, easy to put back in. That's what I like to see. Okay, let's go for the Xlite. So this is a different valve system. I'm going to twist to deflate. And this is already taking a little longer because it's not just a hole out. It has some resistance it has to go through. And there's also insulation on the inside of this, the crinkle is, that helps keep it warmer than the tensor. Okay. So far not too different. There is still air trapped in here, so we'll have to squeeze that out as we continue. And then I'm gonna put this guy right in here. So here we are at the end, just squeezing a little bit more air out. Okay. No Velcro piece on this one, so you do just have to keep it closed. Also not very difficult to get back in the stuff sack. I would say the tensor is negligibly easier to pack up. Only slightly. Alright, so just to recap on these two sleeping bags real quick. If we're looking at just price, the Flyer is very slightly less money than the Neoair Xlite. The Flyer comes in at $189.95 and the Xlite is $199.95. So it's a $10 difference. They're both right up there, close to 200 bucks. So you are really making a choice when you purchase one of these. It's not like a $30, oh, that pad looks good. You really need to put some thought into this $200 purchase as part of your sleep system in the backcountry. The Xlite wins in the weight category. If you are counting ounces or grams, this Xlite is going to be 2.5 ounces lighter than the tensor. Comfort-wise, they are both pretty similar. If you are someone that side sleeps, I would say they are probably equal in comfort. If you are someone who sleeps on their back, then the tensor felt more comfortable for me, simply because you could lay your arms next to yourself and like not worry about them falling off the sides. The Neoair was just like a little bit skinnier because of that mummy shape, so it was not quite as comfortable when you're on your back. If we are talking about warmth, the Xlite wins again. The Xlite has an R value of 4.2 and the tensor has an R value of 3.5. So the Xlite is going to last you for more seasons. It's going to keep you warmer for longer. It's going to keep you warmer on colder nights. The tensor it just has a lesser R value, so you won't be able to use it as long for as wider range of seasons. Both sleeping pads are pretty easy to pump up. The Thermarest has that valve system that just like isn't, like, you can't just do it right away. You have to like really pop it on in the right, like everything has to line up. Whereas with this, it's very easy to know exactly where it goes and it just pops right on. You can start blowing up. It also only took 3 pumps to blow this up, and it took many more for the Xlite. So I would actually say the Tensor has an easier time inflating than the Xlite. Both of these pads are really great for the ultralight backpacker, anyone spending a lot of time in the backcountry, climbers, bike packers, mountaineers. They are going to keep you warm, they're going to keep you off the ground. They have a negligible difference on height, 2.5 versus 3 inches. The biggest difference between these two is noise. If noise bothers you, you want to stay away from this Thermarest Neoair Xlite. It is super trash baggy, so crinkly. The comfort of the Tensor it's just way quieter. The material feels a little softer. So if you are someone that is a light sleeper, or you're in a tent with someone that's a light sleeper, I would say the Tensor is the pick for you. This is just so noisy, and then when your head is right down next to it, it's like amplified. So that would be the biggest difference between the two. The Neoair Xlite is a little warmer, it's a little more expensive, it's a little lighter. So if those are the things that matter to you, and those $10 do not matter, which is a negligible price difference, then the Neoair Xlite would be the choice for you. My personal pick would be the Tensor. I don't mind the 2.5 ounces. I am not in the backcountry for a month carrying this on my back. I usually travel for maybe a week at a time, so I don't mind the 2.5 ounces, and I do mind the noise. I definitely wake up in the middle of the night to sleeping bag noises of this sleeping pad. So my personal choice would be the Tensor for all those reasons. But the Neoair Xlite is also a premium ultralight backpacking pad that would be a great choice for many people traveling in the backcountry. Happy hiking! Hey everyone, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you have ever wasted money on gear in the past, or just don't know what gear to buy, I really want to recommend this book. It's called The Beginner's Guide to Hiking Gear, and it has breakdowns and explanations of all the gear you'll need to get safely outside. It's organized into gender, size, weight, what type of hike you'll need it for, and it's really helpful for any beginner out there, or even someone who's more advanced but wants more suggestions on how to enjoy your time outside. You can buy it at Amazon, and it's available in both paperback and Kindle. Go ahead and click the link below in the description and check it out.